It's the year 1974. The Vietnam War is ending. Men have walked on the moon, and Japan is one of the world's leading economies. But deep in the Philippine jungle, a lone Japanese soldier still believes World War II is not over. His name is Hiroo Onoda, an intelligence officer in the Imperial Japanese Army. For 30 years, he's been fighting a war that ended long ago, ambushing patrols, burning crops, and hiding from local villagers, convinced that the enemy is still out there. For Onoda, surrender is not an option, because in 1944, he was given one final order: hold your ground, never surrender, never take your own life. We will return for you. He took that order so literally, it became his entire life. Hiroo Onoda was born on March 19, 1922, in the Wakayama Prefecture of Japan. He grew up during Japan's militarist rise in the 1930s, a time when loyalty to the emperor was absolute and surrender was seen as the ultimate shame. In 1942, at age 20, Onoda joined the Imperial Japanese Army. He was intelligent, ambitious, and soon trained in intelligence and guerrilla warfare, the art of surviving behind enemy lines, gathering information, and sabotaging enemy operations. In December 1944, as the tide of war turned against Japan, Onoda was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines. His mission: delay the American advance and prevent attacks on Japanese positions. He was ordered to destroy the island's airstrip and pier, and above all, never to surrender no matter what. When Onoda arrived, the situation was already dire. The Japanese garrison on Lubang was small, around 2,000 men, facing overwhelming American forces. By February 1945, U.S. troops invaded the island. Within weeks, most of the Japanese defenders were killed or captured. Onoda, along with 3 other soldiers, Private Yuichi Akatsu, Corporal Shoichi Shimada, and Private First Class Kinshichi Kozuka, escaped into the dense mountains and jungles. From there, they continued what they believed was their duty: fight, observe, and wait for reinforcements. But those reinforcements would never come. On August 15, 1945, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender. The war was over. But deep in the jungle, Onoda and his men didn't believe it. They found leaflets dropped by American planes, declaring that the war had ended and Japan had surrendered. But to them, it was obvious propaganda. How could the mighty empire of Japan, the land of the divine emperor, have surrendered? They decided the leaflets were enemy tricks designed to lure them out. So they kept fighting. They hunted cattle for food, stole rice from villages, and occasionally clashed with local police. In 1946, the Philippine Army believed they had captured or killed all Japanese holdouts, but Onoda's group remained undetected, still in uniform, still armed, still believing Japan was at war. The jungle became their world. They built bamboo shelters, patched uniforms, and repaired their rusting rifles. They rationed ammunition, cleaned their weapons daily, and kept guard through endless tropical storms. Over the years, they saw more leaflets, and even family letters dropped from aircraft, urging them to surrender. Onoda analyzed every one of them, convinced they were forgeries. The typography looked too modern. The paper seemed American-made. In his mind, these were psychological warfare tactics. In 1949, one of his men, Private Akatsu, finally surrendered after escaping the group. But his capture only strengthened Onoda's paranoia. He was sure Akatsu had been brainwashed or was collaborating with the enemy. By the early 1950s, only 3 men remained: Onoda, Shimada, and Kozuka. They lived as shadows in the forest, cleaning rifles, keeping journals, and patrolling as if the war raged on. In 1954, tragedy struck. Corporal Shimada was shot by local soldiers during a skirmish and died of his wounds. Now only Onoda and Kozuka were left. For the next 18 years, the 2 men continued their mission. They burned rice fields to disrupt enemy supplies, ambushed police patrols, and even killed local farmers. Convinced they were enemy spies, the Philippine government launched repeated search efforts. Posters, letters, even recordings from family members were broadcast through loudspeakers in the jungle. But Onoda's loyalty was unbreakable. He believed his emperor would one day return with orders. Then, in October 1972, Kozuka was killed by police while burning rice fields. After nearly 30 years, Onoda was alone. The world learned of Onoda's possible survival in the 1970s, when reports surfaced of a mysterious Japanese soldier still hiding in the jungle. Most dismissed it as rumor, until Norio Suzuki, a 24-year-old Japanese adventurer, decided to find him. Suzuki told friends, "I'm going to look for Lieutenant Onoda, a panda, and the abominable snowman, in that order." Amazingly, he found Onoda in February 1974 in the mountains of Lubang. Suzuki told him the war was over, but Onoda refused to believe it unless he received official orders from his superior officer. Suzuki returned to Japan with photos as proof. The Japanese government located Onoda's former commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, now a bookseller. He flew to Lubang Island to personally relieve Onoda of duty. On March 9, 1974, after nearly 3 decades in the jungle, Hiroo Onoda officially surrendered. He wore his faded uniform, still perfectly maintained, his sword polished, and his rifle functional. He handed over his Arisaka rifle, 500 rounds of ammunition, several hand grenades, and his officer's sword, all in working order. When asked why he stayed, Onoda said, "We received an order, and Japanese soldiers do not surrender." The Philippine President, Ferdinand Marcos, granted him a full pardon for his wartime actions, recognizing that Onoda had believed he was still serving his country. He returned to Japan a national sensation, part hero, part relic of a vanished era. But Japan had changed. The militarism of the 1940s was gone. People no longer saw war as glorious. Onoda struggled to adapt to modern life. In 1975, unable to fit into modern Japan, Onoda moved to Brazil to become a cattle rancher. He later returned to Japan in the 1980s, founding a nature youth camp to teach endurance and survival, the same skills that had kept him alive for 3 decades. When asked in his later years whether he regretted his actions, he said, "I was doing my duty as I understood it. Life is simple. You do what you are told." Hiroo Onoda died in 2014 at the age of 91. Nearly 70 years after the war, he never stopped fighting. But his story is not just about one man. It's about the power of belief, the weight of duty, and the tragic cost of blind obedience. For Onoda, the war never truly ended, because in his mind, surrender was worse than death. He fought for 30 years, for a war that had ended long before he ever stopped fighting.